Gentlemen and ladies, welcome to this lecture discussing the functional anatomy of the respiratory system. And here we are looking at the various organs, the type of tissues found responsible for the physiologies that we observe. And the idea is, as pharmacy professional, should be able to understand the functional anatomy, eventually the respiratory membrane, and the controlled breathing, because some of the drugs affect the respiratory system in such a way, and then as pharmacological effect, therapeutic, or as adverse effect. So your understanding of this is very, very, very important. So when you look at the respiratory system, we are talking about the lungs, the airways, as well as the upper structures, the superior structures connected to the airways. So the primary inlet of air into the respiratory system is the nose. Okay, so the nose is the primary inlet. So this structure has got openings which are called nostrils or external because beyond a certain point there is also what are called internal nares. Okay, so we have external nares, and then these they open into what is called the nasal cavity. Within the nasal cavity is lined by ridge-like structures which cause turbulence to the flow of air. These are called nasal concha. Okay, then from there we go into the pharynx, also called the throat. The pharynx has got three parts: the part that connects to the nose, the part that is in the middle, that is closer to the mouth, and the part that is closer to the airways, the trachea, or the larynx, or the voice box. And so we have those three parts. Then this shows that also then the oral cavity is connected to the to the airways. Therefore, you can breathe through the mouth as well, and that works sometimes, especially where someone is struggling to use their primary inlets. So then from the pharynx, we have the trachea that develops into bronchi, and then bronchi into dividing into the various smaller airways. So this is very important for you to understand, especially the relationship with the oral and the nasal cavity, because most infections that start in the nasal cavity can affect the oral cavity. Most oral infections can also affect the nasal cavity, including the airways. Also important here are the structures or openings or cavities found in the bones that surround the nasal and airways, the nasal and oral cavity. So we have cavities from the frontal bone. We have the frontal sinuses. We also have openings in the sphenoid bone and the ethmoid bone, as well as the maxilla here, the maxilla bone here around the oral cavity. Okay, so this is very, very important. Then also important in the function of respiratory system in terms of anatomy here is that we've mentioned the ridge-like structures in the nasal cavity. So these allow turbulence so that the air can be turbulent in flow and not smooth, so that the dust particles can be thrown all over and then they'll stick onto the hair-like structures on epithelial tissue and get trapped. Then we have the external nares, is the opening into the pharynx. The pharynx, now here we also have other anatomical structures that we have the tonsils. So tonsils, we have the pharyngeal tonsils, we have them in the various locations under the tongue and everywhere. So these, they provide immune support. Then into the pharynx, we've talked about the fact that the pharynx is divided into three parts. The portion that is closer to the nasal cavity is called the nasopharynx, and the pharynx that is closer to the opening of the oral cavity, that is called the oropharynx, and then the part that is closer to the voice box, also called the larynx. This part is called the laryngopharynx. So three parts of the throat. We have the nasopharynx, oropharynx, and the laryngopharynx. So in the nasal cavity, we have openings of the ears into the nasal cavity, implying that we can also have ascending infections into the ears from the nasal cavity, and also descending infections um, um, from the ears into the nasal cavity. So that is why you can have a, um, ear infections causing throat problems, and the throat infections causing middle ear problems. Then the nasal cavity ends into we have the separation of the nasal cavity and the oropharynx here by this bone hard palate. The uh, yes, the hard palate that extends into the soft palate, ending into the uvula. Okay, so that is like that finger-like ending. If you look into yes, so these anatomies are very, very important to know. So the oral cavity also there. So I was talking about the uvula. When you look through somebody's mouth, you see a finger-like structure in the end of the oral cavity. So that is the uvula. Also, this soft palate is very crucial in the initiation of swallowing. So the innervation there, when it is stimulated, it initiates the swallowing process, which is very, very crucial. When that is lost, then it becomes a problem. So then the trachea there, we have the trachea there versus the esophagus. So now what you need to remember is that during embryonic development, when the fetus developing, the respiratory system develops after the digestive system has already developed. So what you find is that the trachea develops as a bud, like a tree branch from the esophagus. So it is always superior to the esophagus. The trachea is superior to the esophagus. So even in the presentation here, you'll be able to see that. And also what you tend to see is that in the larynx, there is what is called the voice box. The voice box is a collection or an organization, structural organization of skeletal muscles as well as cartilage that is organized to produce sound. So as you speak, the tension in these muscles, they tend to provide the voice. And also, when this tension is lost, the voice quality is lost. And also what contributes to the voice and sound is the presence of these openings or cavities in the bones that surround the nasal cavity. So these sinuses, they don't only make the bones lighter of the skull, but they also contribute to the production of sound, like megaphones. Repu tigulisa, you saw that what they use for sound when they are going with a PA system or megaphones and things like that. So the sinuses, they tend to also help in phonation. So then in the voice box, that's where we are now. Considering that there are two openings here in the larynx, we've got superiorly the esophagus, and superiorly we have the trachea, and posteriorly we have the esophagus. So there is an anatomical structure that is called the epiglottis, a flap of tissue that covers the trachea when swallowing. Okay, so when swallowing is initiated, it goes as a wave of contractions into the larynx that causes the epiglottis to cover the superior portion of the structures of the airways, so that the airways are covered and the esophagus remains open. So that is very, very important. So this is what you need to know about the functional anatomy from the nasal, oral into the larynx, where we have the esophagus the trachea developing from. Okay, so what is also important is that in the nasal cavity we have receptors that are important for smell, the sense of smell. So these are called olfactory receptors. The respiratory system is covered by a special type of epithelia. The upper portions are covered by pseudostratified columnar epithelium, which is able to produce excess mucus to trap and contribute to moistening and cleaning of the air that we breathe. And then as these airways divide further into the various 23 branches of the airways or generations of airways, they tend to have epithelia that thins out, and eventually the epithelium in the alveoli will be very thin and it will only have one layer of cells, and that is squamous type of epithelium. Most of these we have talked about. We have already discussed these, and I think yes, we have discussed these. We have discussed the issue of vocal cords, the glottis. We have discussed that. Now the trachea. So the trachea connects the larynx with the bronchi. So the trachea is the parent of all airways. So we have the trachea as the parent, and then it divides into 23 generations. So the trachea divides into bronchi, then bronchi into bronchioles. Bronchioles which will have primary bronchioles, secondary bronchioles, tertiary bronchioles, and the other bronchial divisions like the terminal and respiratory bronchioles, which are going to be very, very useful in connecting the air conducted into the respiratory zone. The trachea is important to understand that the wall of the trachea is cartilaginous and it is C-shaped. There is no muscle or very little muscle. So it is cartilaginous, and because cartilage cannot be compressed, it is very patent, meaning open. So what controls whether the trachea is open or not is the presence of what? Cartilage. And it is C-shaped, meaning it is not a complete ring, and therefore it is susceptible to collapse. Therefore, if, for example, there is trauma to the trachea, it can collapse, and then there will be poor ventilation, and someone can actually suffocate. So the bronchi, we are seeing this primary, tertiary, and as well as the secondary. So then we also need to understand that the airways are found within the chest cavity where we have other organs. So we have the circulatory system that is also existing within the chest cavity. So we have the large veins and the large arteries that, or like the aorta, and the heart that is within the chest cavity in association with the lungs and the airways. And so because of this, as someone breathed in, they squeeze the blood vessels. So for the veins, that helps the blood to return to the heart. For the arteries, this reduces the amount of blood that can go into the arteries. Okay, so that is very, very important. So breathing is important for returning blood to the heart. So it is called the respiratory pump. And then we have, yes, the bronchi ends into respiratory ducts or alveolar ducts, and anything that is referred to as respiratory airways, it means there is gaseous exchange taking place. And so that is why it is important to define what is called the respiratory zone. So we have the respiratory bronchi, the ducts and alveoli where gaseous exchange takes place. What is also crucial is to discuss what is called the respiratory membrane, the barrier that exists between the air that you are breathing and the blood that is carrying the oxygen and bringing carbon dioxide. So what makes up this is that the barrier is so thin that it is only produced by, is contributed by the alveoli wall, the capillary wall, as well as just a bit of interstitial space in between them. So because of this, the lungs are suitable for gaseous exchange. The lungs are suitable for gaseous exchange because the alveoli that separates the air from the blood, it is actually very thin. So this barrier is made up of one layer of cells of alveoli, one layer of cells of capillaries, and a bit of extracellular fluid in between those. So this is called the respiratory membrane, or the air-blood barrier, or the blood-air interface. Otherwise, after this, we'll look into properties of gases, then we can discuss the rest of the components of physiology of respiratory system. God bless.